I used to chase the crowd, let their voices pull me down. But the road they call success left my spirit dry on the ground. Every empty little boast, every chain they dressed up fine, couldn't feed a hungry soul, couldn't calm this heart of mine. So I lift my eyes beyond the passing show. Yahuwah called me higher, and I'm learning how to go. I let it fall away, the smoke, the pride, the smoking gold. Teach my feet your way, teach my hands to hold what's true. I set my face on Yahuwah, set my face on Yahuwah. His righteousness will meet, His righteousness will meet. I let the world go silent, go silent. I keep His ways before, I keep His ways before me. Man-made songs and broken rules, crowns of dust and borrowed names. Ain't no comfort in the crowd if it pulls my soul away. I'm laying down the old routine, every custom born in pride. If it's not in your command, then I leave it at your side. So I lift my eyes beyond the passing show. Yahuwah called me higher, and I'm learning how to go. I let it fall away, the smoke, the pride, the smoke and gold. Teach my feet your way, teach my hands to hold what's true. I set my face on Yahuwah, set my face on Yahuwah. His righteousness will lead me, His righteousness will lead. I let the world go silent, go silent. I keep His ways before me, I keep His ways before me. Hearts awake, come on now, hearken to the voice of truth. Turn from every borrowed path, there's only one way through. Keep the commandments, walk in mercy, walk in light. Yahuwah make me faithful, morning, noon, and night. I set my face on Yahuwah, set my face on Yahuwah. His righteousness will lead me, His righteousness will lead me. I let the world go silent, go silent. I keep His ways before me, I keep His ways before me. I set my face on Yahuwah, set my face on Yahuwah. His righteousness forever, His righteousness will lead.
Shabbat Shalom, Israel. Man, I hope everybody is having a blessed day and has strived to enter into the Most High Yah's set-apart day of rest. It's been a little while, been away at some military training. Spent the last month doing my last and final rotation at the National Training Center, Fort Irwin, California. And this was a message that the Most High Yah, put on me to give during that time frame. So, with a lot going on in the world, there's a lot of things that oftentimes we focus on, and it has nothing to do pertaining to our salvation. And when you think about the name of this channel being Closer to Yah Ministries, Closer to Yah is not just a statement. You know, this is something that we should be actioning on a daily basis. So the title of today's message is titled Focus. Welcome to all in Shabbat Shalom. You know, man, it is a pleasure to have made it another week and to be able to enter into the Most High Yah's set apart day of rest. Because when I think about, you know, well before I started walking in the way, walking in truth, and I think about the life that I used to live, the life that I once lived, it would have been nothing based upon what I've read in the book for some of the judgments that people faced for things lesser than, you know, the life that I live. So I'm very thankful to, you know, have made it another week, to see another Shabbat, and then most importantly to deliver this message to edify, you know, the remnant and the lost sheep that have been scattered to the four corners. Welcome to all in Shabbat Shalom. How to support the ministry. You know, if you want to support the ministry, you can simply hit that like button. That goes a long ways, and I'm very appreciative and thankful for that. You can subscribe to the channel. You know, if you go to my channel and you look at for those that have been subscribed, and you look at the kind of stuff that I used to post before, and you look at my channel now, one thing you're going to see is pretty much all Shabbat messages. That's pretty much all you're going to get on this channel, which is all Shabbat messages. When the feast days come around and things like that, I'll do specific videos on those, but messages for the Shabbat. And the reason that is, you know, just going through the things that I subscribe to, the channels that I subscribe to, a lot of this stuff is pastime, it's entertainment, and it does not have anything to do with, you know, our pursuit of salvation. So just looking at the watch time on your phone, you know, after the day's message, go back and look at the watch time on your phone and just assess if you're trying to get closer to the Most High Yah, and the Most High Yah could look down and watch you for an hour during the day, what would he see you doing? Would he see you actually carrying out the fulfillment of the word, working out your salvation? Or would he see you being distracted by the things of the world? So on this channel, I didn't want to have any more distractions. I didn't want to have anything that deters you from focusing on the Most High Yah, whether it be all these worldly different topics, all of these different wars and conflicts going on, because at the end of the day, the Most High Yah tells you, you know, that there's going to be wars, there's going to be rumors of war. These things must happen in order for, you know, for those end times prophecies to be fulfilled. The Most High tells us this stuff has to happen. But at the end of the day, you know, I don't want people coming to this channel and getting distracted from the mission, which is working out your salvation, which is repentance, bearing the fruit of repentance. You know, I'm not worried about who divorced who. I'm not worried about who cheated on who did this, what the Republicans, what the Democrats are doing, because at the end of the day, we put a lot of focus on stuff, like I said, that has nothing to do with our salvation. So when you subscribe to this channel, know what you're getting. You're going to get something that is in alignment with the will of the Most High Yah, and you're going to get Shabbat messages and different teachings that are going to feed you rather than distract you. You know, there's a lot of different quarrels going on, a lot of different beefs and things like that. And oftentimes our flesh craves this stuff, but oftentimes we're bringing tribulation and persecution and different trials on ourselves, where if we would remain focused on the will of the Most High Yah, there's a certain level of protection that comes with that. So just wanted to clarify that for any of my previous supporters or subscribers going on a channel. You're looking for that old stuff. I didn't delete any of the videos that I once had. I just removed them to where they're no longer at the face of the channel. But if you want, if there's a video you're looking for that I've done in the past, just feel free to reach out to me and I can send you that video. But I just won't be responding to, I don't want my channel to be like a news channel or anything like that. I want it to be 100% feeding the sheep with what they need to hear. Okay. Lastly, if you subscribe to the channel, turn on your notifications and set to all notifications. That way you can see when I'm dropping a new video. Okay. Share this video, you know, and if you would like to support the channel, you can also give an offering. Cash App is there. Agenda. Shabbat Shalom, family, brothers and sisters. As believers in Yahweh, walking after Yahshua, one of the greatest battles we face is not always open opposition, but misdirected focus. Many desire to grow spiritually, to mature, and to walk in greater levels of holiness, yet remain stagnant because their attention is divided between Yahweh and the distractions of this world. Scripture shows us that the adversary has influence on earth, and one of his most effective strategies is not simply to destroy, but to distract. If he can keep your mind consumed with the cares of life, the issues of the world, and temporary concerns, he can keep you from advancing in righteousness. Spiritual growth requires intentional focus, and without it, believers drift instead of develop. This leads us to a necessary and personal question. What are you focused on? Because whatever holds your focus will ultimately shape your walk, your obedience, and your level of spiritual maturity before Yahweh. You know, I want you to think about, I mentioned it maybe about a year and a half ago, for the struggle of people that are struggling with ADHD. And oftentimes, man, what we have is a form of spiritual ADHD, to where, you know, when it's time for the Shabbat, when it's time to come to these appointed times, we're locked in and we're focused. But during the week, during them 6 days where we're supposed to be working and working according to righteousness, what are we distracted by? What are we focused on? And something about ADHD is, you know, you're pretty much scatterbrained, you know, and a lot of people in these last days are dealing with that, need deliverance from that. And I want you to think, if you barely can remember to do the basic things of life, brush your teeth in the morning, wash your face, wash your hind part before you go to bed or after you get up. If you're struggling to remember those basic things, how much more difficult is it for you to remember that there's things of righteousness that we need to be doing? And this time you often see, when you see the children of perdition, oftentimes one of the symptoms is a lot of ADHD, and Hasatan has their mind. You know, he doesn't want them to focus. Okay? Biblical reference. Be using the Sefer Bible and the Amplified to just bring out some further context. Okay? Those are the two Bible versions I will be using.
The Matrix is everywhere. It is all around us. Even now, in this very room. You can see it when you look out your window or when you turn on your television. You can feel it when you go to work, when you go to church, when you pay your taxes. It is the world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth. What truth? That you are a slave like everyone else. You were born into bondage. Unfortunately, no one can be told what the Matrix is. You have to see it for yourself. This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
Why are we here today? Exodus chapter 20, verses 8 through 11. Remember the day of the Shabbat to keep it holy. 6 days shall you labor and do all your work. Work, Strong's number Hebrew word 4399. Employment, public business, occupation, industrious, public service. Exodus chapter 20:10. But the 7th day is the Sabbath of Yahweh Elohake, and in it you shall not do any work, you nor your son nor your daughter, your manservant nor your maidservant nor your cattle, nor the stranger that is within your gates. For in 6 days Yahweh made the heaven and the earth and the sea and all that is in them, and rested on the 7th day. Wherefore Yahweh blessed the day of Shabbat and hallowed it. Exodus 31:13. Speak thou also unto the children of Yasharel, saying, truly my Shabbats you shall guard, for it is a sign between me and you throughout your generations, that you may know that I am Yahweh, Makodesh Kim. Definitions, just to give you some general context, general understanding of the title of the message being focus. Focus is a noun, a center of activity, attraction, or attention, or a point of concentration, directed attention. Where is your attention directed? What is your point of concentration? Because oftentimes, you know, our point of concentration, or where our attention is directed, does not line up with the words that are coming out of our mouth when we put on this show of saying that we love the Most High Yahweh. So we have to make sure that, okay, we know what we should be doing. We know what the word says, but is our attention directed there, throughout the week, throughout the tenure of our life as we carry out, being a living sacrifice? Where's our attention directed at? What are we concentrated on? And this is the reason why I said earlier, man, just go look in your go look at your phone under settings and watch your screen time to see where you're spending the bulk of your time. Because one thing I want you to realize is there's a lot of things that I no longer will broadcast and showcase on this channel because they're things of the world and it's really not helping anybody. When I look at it, I used to, a celebrity would do this, and I would talk about it and break it down. But at the end of the day, for the average person, that really wasn't doing anything for their salvation, but it was a form of entertainment. So on this channel, some things going forth is there's things in the word that a lot of ministries don't talk about and they get stagnated. Like, I'll give you an example, like the keeping of the new moon. How many ministries do you hear or not only hear keeping of the new moon, but actually keeping the new moon? And you think about what not doing that, how that correlates to your day-to-day life in these seasons. This is why across Israel we have, people keeping the feast days at different times, sometimes 15, 20 days apart, because ultimately, man, we're not focused on what we should be focused on pertaining to, you think about the new moon and letting you know when is the new month, when the seasons are changing. If we're not counting that off of the new moon, based upon what the word says, we're going to be off. And I want to make sure that Yasharel, those that are trying to grow and get closer to the Most High Yah spiritually, are focused on the thing. There's so many different things that when you come out of, Western religion, whether it be Catholicism or Christianity, and you find the remnant, you find Yasharel, a lot of these things, a lot of these different camps, assemblies, communities, whatever you call it, they'll get you so far, but it's just certain things that they won't talk about. And I don't want this ministry to be distracted by the things of the world, whether it be Epstein, whether it be Diddy, whether it be this, whether it be these. One thing I want you to realize, the Most High Yah has told us that in the last days, it's going to be some sick behavior. It's going to be some very vile people. And sometimes we're at all when we see this stuff and we're distracted by it, as if the Most High Yah has not told us that this stuff is going to happen. So you going to have these pedophiles, these perverts, these people. Why should we be spending time to focus on that and to be glued in and locked on that to the next juicy story, when we could be using that time and focusing our attention, directing our attention, our point of concentration on the will of the Most High Yah and growing in this thing? I want you to think about it. I talked about it before. Something that you don't see the Amish community doing. You don't see them making video after video because they've had fallouts in their community. You don't see one of their church buildings or congregations going against another one. But you know what you do see them? You see them doing? Laboring. You see them laboring. You don't see them making videos on the P. Diddy's and all of this different stuff. And I'm not saying, I'm just using them as an example. I'm not saying that that's their way of life and everything that they believe is what we should be following. But I want you to think about it, man. If you are focused on Yahweh, we have enough in this word to not have time to be focused on anything else that's not pertaining to this walk, that's not pertaining to this salvation. So that's one reason, like I said, on this channel, it's just going to be straight and raw Shabbat messages to make sure believers in the Most High Yah are focused on what they need to be focused on. Okay? In focus. In focus. Phrase. Having or giving the proper sharpness of outline due to good focusing. If you've ever seen somebody take a camera and the camera's not in focus, you really don't have clarity about what you're looking at. You really don't have understanding about what you're looking at. It's not until, man, that thing is brought into focus that you can say, hey, I can identify this as this and identify that as that. But when it's out of focus, You can't do that. Out of focus phrase, something that lacks visual sharpness. Some people's walk, when you think about it, it lacks sharpness. It lacks concentration, appearing blurred, fuzzy, or hazy. Indicates that the eye is not properly adjusted to make the object clear. Metaphorically, it can mean a person is distracted. And oftentimes, when we're gravitating to the, like, I give an example. Like, we see that gas is high right now. But I'm not going to be making videos talking about, taking people down the gauntlets of these oil elites and all of this, what they're doing. But what I will tell you is, man, if you focus on the Most High Yah, we got to get to the point where rather than trying to think about all this complex stuff that don't have nothing to do with our salvation, we simply can say, hey, you know what? I'm thankful that the Most High Yah allowed me to be able to get 15, 20 gallons to fill up my vehicle. I'm thankful for that, because what if he didn't make a way? What if I didn't have the health to be able to work and to be able to make this possible, to be able to get from point A to point B? So rather than doing all these little tiny feeder videos, there's pretty much, I want to make sure the message is, starting with today's message, focus. What is our focus on? And if we're not focused on the Most High Yah, focused and distracted on all this different stuff of the world, man, that carries over into where we lack in our walk. Where we lack in our walk. Something that I'm pushing towards is trying to get on the timeline of the Most High Yah. And here's the thing, man, as long as you are distracted by all this different stuff, all the different products that a lot of these heathens have put out to throw you off, your timeline is going to be off. For planting, for feast days, for working and living off of the land, your timelines are going to be off. Your seasons are going to be off. And the only way to get into alignment is to focus on the Most High Yah. Let go of the things of the world that the world has given you to try to throw you off, and focus on Yah. Example, in focus, everything is very clear. Out of focus, very blurry. Movement, okay? This is pretty much, don't have to pay attention. I want you to focus on in focus and out of focus. And sometimes our walk is out of focus because we are distracted. We don't have a clear depiction. Our point of concentration is not aimed on where we should be walking. What Yahweh told us, Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 4 through 8. Hear, O Yashriel, Yahweh Elohane, Yahweh is one, and you shall love Yahweh Elohake with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. And these words which I command you this day shall be in your heart. So you have to think, if we're focused on being born again, having our mind renewed, we have to think about some of the stuff. If the Most High Yah put this stuff in your heart, you got to look at, okay, what is the output that on a daily basis, what's coming out of your mouth? Is it just a direct reflection of whatever is in your heart? So a lot of this stuff that we pick up, we think is harmless, we think it's not going to do us any harm, is actually, putting seeds in our heart. And this is why we have some of the issues of life. This is why you're going to struggle with taming your tongue and things like that, because the Most High Yah wanted to put something pure in your heart, but what you're taking in is not really pure. You're taking in a lot of these distractions that's got a lot of seeds in there, and you don't see the seeds. And you shall teach them diligently unto your children, and talk of them when you sit in your house. This is what you call focused and locked in. You got to understand, you sitting in your house, some of the discussions that you have. Think about what these discussions are about versus what the Most High Yah told you. You got to think, this is why a lot of children don't get edified and they're not growing, spiritually, growing into spiritual maturity, because what's the conversations going on inside the house? Is it about the latest rap song? Is it about the latest R&B song? Is it about the latest movie? Is it about the latest this, the latest that? Who is doing this? Have you seen this? Guess who broke up with who? And guess who divorced who? And guess who's sleeping with who? But this right here, and you shall teach them diligently unto your children. Just imagine how far if the parents was focused, how far your children could get, how much you could pour into their cup if you were just to do this. And you shall talk with them when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise up. Sometimes our conversations as men and women can get distracted because of the company we keep. Yeah, you might got a brother that says they walk in the way, but every time you are walking with that brother, how come his conversation is not of anything righteous? The same thing, you might have a sister that says she believes, says she's a follower of Yahshua, but every time when you get in conversation with that sister as a sister, how come your conversation is not of the things of righteousness? How come neither one of you is getting sharp and neither one of you is getting edified? Deuteronomy 6:8, and you shall bind them for a sign upon your hand, and there shall be as the frontlets between your eyes. This should be the point of concentration. This is where your attention should be directed. Man, you have people out here that call themselves followers of Yahshua, and one thing they do is they learn all of the laws of the land and come out with 1,000,001 videos about all these laws of the land. But the one thing the Most High Yah wanted us to do was to be able to, demonstrate not only understanding but obedience to His Torah. But guess what? If it's not the frontlets between your eyes, you're not going to, like, where you're aiming for is where you're gonna end up. So if you don't aim for nowhere righteous, don't be surprised if you're not growing spiritually. Deuteronomy 6:9, and you shall write them upon the post of your house and on your gates. Like, you go to the front of my house, you're going to see them right there. You're going to see a metal placard with them things listed on there. Two variables. I want everybody to understand that there's two variables to the word of the Most High. Okay? It's salvation and damnation. Now, you can read the word and reject it, and because you didn't obey, man, it's going to lead, or because you didn't believe, man, that's going to lead to your damnation, and we'll talk about it. But also, it can lead to your salvation. That's the two variables. Now, what's common is you got a lot of people that like to hear the word. People swear up and down they read the word. I done read the Bible from front to back. But at the end of the day, you don't see them working towards their salvation. You see them operate and be focused on things that produce more doubt than they do faith. Philippians chapter 2, verse 12. Wherefore, my beloved, if you as always obeyed, not as in my presence only, but now much more in my absence, work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. So at any given point throughout your life, throughout your day, every minute of your day, man, you're doing one of the two. Your flesh wants you walking towards damnation. When that Ruach is operating in you and you're seeking higher levels of holiness and you're obedient to the word of the Most High Yah, you're working out your salvation. Salvation, Strong's number G4491. Deliverance, preservation, safety. Okay? For it is Elohim which work in you both to will and to do of His good pleasure. You have to look at some of the stuff that we get caught up in on a daily basis. Just think about the past week. What are some things that you were doing that you had no business doing? And when I say no business doing, man, it didn't bear the fruits of repentance. It didn't bear the fruits of righteousness. So you have to ask yourself, what was operating in you to cause you to get distracted, to cause your focus not to be on the Most High Yah? John chapter 5, verse 29, and shall come forth they that have done good unto the resurrection of life, and they that have done evil unto the resurrection of damnation. Okay? So this is what I said. At some point, the variables is salvation, damnation, good, evil, light, darkness. Two variables in opposition. Okay? So at any given point, you're doing one or the other. You're working towards good and not good according to what your flesh think is good, good according to the righteousness of the Most High Yah. Or you're working towards evil, not according to what your flesh think is evil, but according to what the Most High Yah is outlined as evil. Damnation, Strong's number G2920. A judgment, opinion, or decision given concerning anything, a trial, the last judgment, sentence of condemnation. Man, when we face the judgment seat of Hamashiach, a lot of people going to be surprised because the only thing that they've done is given some lip service worship, and that's not going to get you where you want to go. Me focusing and make making multiple videos throughout the week on politics and things like that is not going to get anybody where they need to go. And I'm gonna break this down, because you look at over the last 25, 30 years, we jump from one party to the next party. One party come in, do something, next party come in, overturn it, and then take over with their agenda. And it goes back and forth. And I'll tell you, your salvation is not in politics. Your salvation is not in entertainment. Man, if you think that these folk are really out here trying to save you and to spare you and to make sure you're not facing eternal damnation, hey, you got it twisted. So this is the reason why I said I'm not going to apply any attention to this stuff, because we got enough, according to the word of the Most High Yah, and righteousness that we should be doing in order to work out our salvation, versus saying, well, I have arrived. You got to understand, when you say you have arrived, you're not really looking for anything more. But if you're trying to reach higher levels of holiness, which I am, you're going to be constantly looking deeper in the word to find out, man, what else Most High Yahweh is there in this word that I've possibly read, but you don't see me obeying? What more could I be doing? Deceptive focus. Sometimes we deceive ourselves into thinking that we're actually focused when we're not. We're actually out of focus. James chapter 1, verse 22 through 25. But be ye doers of the word and not hearers only, deceiving your own selves. I want you to think about, some people are focused on the wrong thing. Some people get focused on vain worship, the vain assembly, vain congregations that ain't worth nothing. I want you to think about somebody that has, give you an example, an older person that has spent your life, you never missed a Sunday. You never missed a Sunday church service. You went Sunday morning. You went Sunday evening. You never missed an Easter. You never missed a Halloween party at the church. You never missed any of that. And it sounds very religious. Your focus was on religion, not righteousness. Your focus was on the traditions of this world and not the commandments of the Most High. And you think you have these people, when they're out of focus, what oftentimes goes hand with that? They have the word. They're hearing and listening to the word. Oftentimes it's not the fullness of the word. But at the end of the day, you don't have anything that's profitable. You don't have anything that's profitable towards your salvation, because you haven't done anything that the Most High Yah has asked you to do. Okay? The Torah and prayer, these two things go in hand. How many people out there are focused on prayer but reject the Torah? And the Most High Yah says that, because you reject the hearing and listening of the Torah, man, your prayer is an abomination. You out of focus. You deceived yourself into thinking that you're focused, and you can't get a prayer through because you're praying for things of lawlessness, not righteousness. For if any be a hearer of the word and not a doer, he is like unto a man beholding his natural face in a glass. For he beholds himself and goes away, and straightway forgets what manner of man he was. Man, you don't understand the fullness to the word until you're walking in it, until you're carrying it out, until it is demonstrated in your actions, in your behavior. But whoso looks into the perfect Torah, how many folk out there that are out of focus call themselves leading a religion, leading some type of worship, got something against the Torah, but it says, but whoso looks into the perfect Torah of liberty. This is why I say, when you think about it, I don't have time to be learning all these new laws and keeping up. Like, okay, for me, I'm an avid, I like guns. I like shooting. I like all that kind of out, but I don't have time to keep up with the latest stuff that they doing in California. And, oh man, what could this mean for gun owners? I don't have time for that. I don't live in California. So why would I focus my attention on stuff like this when I can be looking into the perfect Torah of liberty? And continues therein, he being not a forgetful hearer. How many folk will go listen to the word, but by the time they walk out there, because their soul, their heart is not ready for seed to be planted, they walk out of there and forget it. But a doer of the work, this man shall be blessed in his deed. Man, I want my deeds to be righteous. I want my deeds to be in alignment with the will of the Most High Yah. You got to think about it, man. Looking at my screen time and where it used to be, looking at the stuff that I used to, I didn't get where I'm in this walk without the Most High Yah and without focus. There's people that I once used to partake with, and if I have a conversation with them now, they want to know, like, where have you been? Where did you go to get this information? And the answer is quite simple. I went to the Most High, sought out the Most High, focused on righteousness instead of religion. 5 years ago, 6 years ago, completely different person. Called myself a Christian. Was a part of Christendom, but wasn't doing nothing to work out my salvation. Nothing at all. Violating the Torah every turn. But it wasn't until I said, hey, this don't seem like it. You got a lot of people out there that are a part of religion, but they are empty on the inside. They are filled with darkness. And it shows in their behavior. It shows in their conduct. They're not bearing the fruits of repentance. And this is what I'm talking about. Man, you deceived yourself into thinking that you are focused. Focus on self-examination. Man, I don't have it in me to make videos on other brothers and things like that. I don't have it in me. There was a time back when there was a brother by the name of Ringo TV or something like that. Just devoted so much time to making videos on other people. And it's very easy to get caught up in this stuff. Very easy to get caught up in doing this back and forth, this YouTube back and forth, this TikTok back and forth. I don't have time for it. You know why? Because I want to focus on self-examination. Because at the end of the day, me looking at somebody else, pointing out where I think they wrong according to my flesh and the understanding that I have, what does that do for my salvation? I just want to ask that. What does that do for my salvation? Or the next man or woman who is in the media caught up in this or that, pointing out what everybody else has done wrong. But if you can't point out what is wrong in your life, you got a bigger problem. So our focus needs to be on self-examination. 2 Corinthians 13 verse 5, examine yourselves. It don't say examine everybody else. It say examine yourselves, whether you be in the faith. That's not just with lips, man. That is with actions. Prove your own selves. Know ye not your own selves, how that Yeshua HaMashiach is in you, except you be reprobates. How can you be out here being reprobate, being children or sons of perdition, but claim to be in the faith? You have to look at the conduct of the righteous in the book versus the conduct of our lives and say, man, let me examine this. Because some of my conduct could be off. And I could be claiming to be in the faith, but giving a bad example of being an ambassador of somebody of the faith. 2 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 5. Test and evaluate yourselves to see whether you are in the faith and living your lives as committed believers. This is the Amplified version, just to give you a little bit more context. Your lives as committed believers. Where's the commitment on a daily basis? You say you believe, well, where's the commitment? Examine yourselves, not me. You got folk out there trying to worry about, well, why don't, you don't need to be worried about what the Most High Yah is doing and why he's doing it. He found fault with us. He found fault with the people, not his perfect Torah of liberty. Or do you not recognize this is about yourselves by an ongoing experience that is Yeshua HaMashiach is in you, unless indeed you fail the test and are rejected as counterfeit? At the end of the day, I don't think nobody wants to sit at the judgment seat of HaMashiach and be counted as or be rejected and called counterfeit. You was a fake. That's worthless. Ain't good for nothing. So I told you the direction that I'm taking this channel is I don't want to look like what a lot of other people are out here doing. because there's a lot of stuff, like I said, that you can get caught up on because your flesh is taking over, not the ruach, but your flesh is taking over, and you can be distracted by a lot of stuff. So we have to focus on self-examination. Every day should be self-examination. You know, every day you're going to experience different tests and different trials, different tribulations, and you have to examine. You got to do an after action review. You got to do a post review, post examination. Man, what I experienced today, how did I handle that? Did I handle that according to my flesh, showing that the word is not living in me? Or did I handle it according to righteousness because the word is living in me and active? Oftentimes we don't do that. We get so caught up on worried about the next thing and worried about this, but you got to understand, this is why oftentimes we fail a lot of the same tests. This is why we're not maturing spiritually, because we go through these different tests and we don't even acknowledge that we have been tested. We just going off with whatever feels good, whatever our flesh wants us to do in that moment. But reality is, man, we're not being good ambassadors of righteousness, because it's one thing to hear the word, it's one thing to be able to recite the word, but what it comes down to, can you demonstrate obedience to the word? Focus on righteousness. Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 24. And Yahweh commanded us to do all these statutes, to fear Yahweh Elohanu for our good always. Not for your harm. That's for your safety. That's for your protection. To fear Yahweh Elohane for our good always, that he might preserve us alive as it is at this day. And it shall be our righteousness if we guard, if we keep to do all these commandments before Yahweh Elohanu, as he has commanded us. If we guard. You got to think about some of the stuff that I have watched over the past, I'm going to say the past 4 or 5 years, man, in total, I might have watched maybe 2 hours worth of football or any kind of NFL or basketball altogether. But in order for me to grow spiritually, there's certain things that I had to reject. And I want you to think about it. I get entertainment, I get downtime, I get things like this. But sometimes people focus goes well beyond just things of entertainment, and you're devoting so much. Like, okay, you got folk out there that can name 30, 40 different men out there that can name 30, 40 different NFL players, basketball players. You can name all of the rules to the NFL and what ain't this and what is that. But when it comes to, can you recite or can you demonstrate understanding of 40 things in the Torah? And you'll find out no. And that'll go to show you right then and there, what are you focused on? What are you focused on? You have to think about, we're supposed to be spending this time not caught up by the wayside, but man, we should be spending this time working out our salvation with fear and trembling. And it's for our good. Man, there's a movie out there called Fahrenheit 451. If you get an opportunity to check it out, it's a movie, and it started off with a book, Fahrenheit 451, about all the books being destroyed. And the reason we have to focus on this, the will of the Most High, is because what if something like that does happen to where, you're pretty much prohibited from having books, and it's illegal according to this world for you to have books. So this is the reason why you got to spend a lot of time trying to gain understanding, to gain not only wisdom, but like I said, understanding, to sharpen your walk, to strengthen your walk. Because if it comes a time like that where we can't have books, man, it's going to be all what you've got in here and what you've got in here. But if you haven't spent any time focused on righteousness, if that's something like that happens, what good is all of these statistics that you know about sports and know about this and know about that really have nothing to do with righteousness, but are merely entertainment? What good is that going to do? How is it going to be profitable? So we have to focus on righteousness. Focus on obedience. Luke chapter 11, verse 28. But he said, you rather, blessed are they that hear the word of Elohim and guard it and keep it. Keep it. That's the obedience. A lot of people get stuck on just hearing it. That was a good word. I heard a good word today. But at the end of the day, you're not seeing any guarding of the word. You're not seeing any keeping of the word. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 1 through 2. And it shall come to pass, if you shall hearken diligently unto the voice of Yahweh Elohim. And here's the thing. It's in his word. It's in his word to guard and to do all his commandments, which I command you this day, that Yahweh Elohim will set you on high above all nations on earth. And you wonder why Israel, when you look at our people, why we're on the bottom. What are we focused on? We get focused on all of this stuff that don't produce the fruit of repentance, that don't produce righteousness. And you wonder why we stay on the bottom. But if we just say, hey, you know what? I'm gonna unplug and I'm gonna take my attention off all this other stuff. I want you to think how many folk could get free. I want you to think how many folk could come out from among them rather than being under the bondage of the heathen in their system. But because you choose not to focus on obedience, focus on the things of righteousness, man, you're gonna stay stuck. I would tell you that if you were at this point known nothing of righteousness, and you were to say today, man, I'm gonna do a transition. As a man or a woman, I'm gonna focus to my best of my ability, 100% of my time on the things of righteousness. You'd be surprised how far that individual could go within a year. You'd be surprised. People wouldn't recognize you. They'd be like, man, what happened to you? Did you go to another planet? Like, what happened to you? Are you a clone? You'd be a completely different person. That's what only comes by way when you're focused on obedience. And all these blessings shall come unto you and overtake you if you shall hearken unto the voice of Yahweh Elohim. Oftentimes, man, we spend time listening to the word of Yahweh, but we're not holding on to it. We ain't trying to keep it. We just let it come in through one ear and out the other. Focus on peacemaking. You know, previously, man, there was a lot of, you got to think, man, there's a lot of different quarrels that are going on within a lot of these different religions. You know, there's a lot of quarrels that go on between different churches, between different assemblies, between different congregations, between different brothers, between different communities. And here's the thing, man, these quarrels, the back and forth, man, that is a disruption of your time. That's a distraction of your time. We got a lot of quarrels going on in Israel. And we don't have enough unity. We don't have enough peacemaking. Because you got to understand, some of these folks that claim to want to be right in their own eyes are some of the main individuals that will be doing this back and forth. And I'm just sitting back watching. I'm like, man, this, after you watch this stuff and you partake of it, you realize there was nothing there pertaining to your salvation. There was nothing there pertaining to your salvation. Every time, and I'm going to use this as an example, every time somebody leaves the Amish community, what Amish leader do you see making videos about this person left? And no, they pretty much, when you look at it, of course there's people that leave and go on, that go back to the world and lead that way of life, but they just let it be, you know, hoping that they know where they had goodness at, hoping they know where life was more abundant at. So we got to focus on peacemaking. But if you're focused on quarreling and trying to look right to the court of public opinion in a peanut gallery, what is that doing? How is that profitable? Focus on peacemaking. Matthew chapter 5, verse 9. Blessed are the peacemakers. Listen to this. It don't say blessed are those that are continually quarreling. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of Elohim. Let me break something down to you, and I'm gonna say this. Don't let one church building, don't let one religion, don't let one community, don't let one assembly or one congregation to think that they are Israel and Israel alone. Don't allow anybody to do that, because that right there, that mindset, that mentality is going to lead to a lot of quarreling. What that does is it makes what it does is they start to tell the part of the story where they look good and everybody else is wrong. And this is why I walked the whole gauntlet on this today, because you can't, if you're not doing self-examination, you're not going to be growing spiritually into spiritual maturity. Focus on peacemaking. Man, our flesh wants to go back and forth. But at the end of the day, how many years has gone past with this back and forth? I'll give you an example. Now, me saying focus on peacemaking is basically saying letting these people go on about their business. But I'm not running these people down. I no longer have the desire to run these people down and they're going a different direction, because if I'm supposed to be walking this straight and narrow path, but I'm spending my time running these people down, have I not fallen off of the path? So being a peacemaker is saying, hey, you don't have to be in agreement with everything that the next man does. You don't have to be in agreement, but each man is running his own race. Each man has to determine what his footsteps, what direction he's going to go in. And oftentimes we can get distracted by allowing our flesh to take over, and we want to be quarrelsome. We want to go back and forth. We want to get the last word. This person made a video, so I got to make a video. And then they see the video and got to make another video. Ain't got time for it. Ain't got time for it. Who's getting saved out of it? Who's learning how to be more obedient out of it? Oftentimes it's just ego driven. That's oftentimes what it is. You cannot be out here being quarrelsome, doing this back and forth, and call yourself a children of Elohim. That's a contradiction of what the word is telling us. And a lot of these quarrels are not life, limb, or eyesight. Meaning nobody's trying to cause you physical harm. Nobody's trying to cause you, oftentimes it could be a little bit of spiritual harm, but you got to think about it, man. If something serious is not on the line, why do we spend so much time quarreling amongst somebody that says they're a believer? They may not, this person that's a believer may disagree with you because they're not spiritually mature. They're not spiritually have a level of understanding that you do. Let them go on about their business, because ain't none of us gonna slip through the cracks. Ain't none of us gonna slip through the cracks. There's gonna be some things that people think is right, and then you're gonna find out because you chose not to self-examine that you was wrong about. So be the peacemaker. Let these folk go on about their business. They want to go out and do this crazy stuff. Let them go on. And here's the issue. Before I would run some of these jokers down. Some of these pulpit pimps, I would run them down and dare them to call out. But guess what? It never proved that anybody was willing to come forth and actually debate this stuff. So why should I keep running them down? Or shouldn't I focus on peacemaking? Shouldn't I focus on righteousness? Shouldn't I focus on obedience? Shouldn't I focus on self-examination? Some of these channels, the only thing they do is run other folk down. But you look at where these ministries are lacking in Christendom, Catholicism, and Israel, and you'll start to see why they're lacking in these areas, because they're not focused on righteousness, attention. Their attention is not on righteousness, obedience, peacemaking. You see, some of this stuff is more quarrelsome. I get it. Some of these folks is teaching other doctrines, but how do we point out what the right doctrine is? Teaching according to righteousness. I tell you, man, for the past 3-4 years, you can call these folk out and they will not come out. They will not come out. They're not coming out to debate none of this stuff that they teaching. They won't come out and do it. So why should I devote my effort to keep calling some of the same folk out when that's been their whole repertoire? That's when they've been their whole agenda is leading people astray. So I got to have messages like this so we are focused and locked in. I don't even want to give some of these people, I don't even want to give their name any power over this channel so people go and check them out. I'm not even going to give you that, because I want you to focus on this word and this word alone. Matthew chapter 5, verse 9. To amplify, just to give some more context. Blessed, spiritually calm, with life joy, and Yahweh's favor, are the makers and maintainers of peace. I had to look back, do some self-examination on some of the videos that I had up. Was I making peace? Was I being a maintainer of peace? And the answer was flat out no. The answer was flat out no. For they will express his character and be called the sons of Elohim, the sons of Yahweh. You have to think about it. It's easy. It's very easy for somebody that has a strong conviction, but is not as spiritually mature as you. It's very easy for somebody else that's spiritually mature to try to run them down to make themselves look good. But isn't Yah dealing with them just as he is dealing with you? Don't we all have to sit at the judgment seat of a Mashiach? So I don't have no desire, no interest whatsoever to run down these people. No interest whatsoever. Now, if they come forth and they actually want to answer the call and debate something so somebody can get edified and get understanding, then that's a conversation. But all of these back and forth and video, because this brother did a video, this sister did a video, they did one, and just back and forth. How much time? Like, I remember back when there was a brother that was making 5-6 hour live streams on what somebody else was doing. Like, we only got 24 hours in a day. You got to think, that's 6 hours that I can be spending striving to get closer to the Most High. Book says strive for perfection. That's 5 to 6 hours I could spend striving for righteousness, striving trying to get further in this walk. Or it can be 5 to 6 hours wasted on foolishness because I didn't want to be a maker of peace, a maintainer of peace. Being a maker of peace is just sometimes being okay with the path somebody that is exercising their own free will has chose. Let them go their route. Because at the end of the day, no matter which route people have taken, it all ends up at the judgment seat of a Mashiach. And ain't nobody slipping through the cracks. I want to stress that. Nobody is slipping through the cracks. Focus on the new self. Romans chapter 12, verse 1. I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of Elohim, that you present your bodies as a living sacrifice, followed by holy, acceptable unto Elohim, which is your reasonable service. On a daily basis, from the time you wake up to the time you go to bed, have you been focused on a reasonable service unto the Most High? Being an ambassador of righteousness unto the Most High in this world filled with darkness? Are you an ambassador at times of darkness because you've allowed your flesh to take over? Romans 12:2, and be not conformed to this world. This is why I said, man, this channel can't look like what everybody else is doing. It can't. I don't want to be conformed to what this world has going on. You got to think, man, it's truly some meat on the bone to be, in this world, existing, striving for righteousness in this world, but not to be of this world. Oftentimes, where our attention is focused is proving that, man, we're of this world rather than in this world. But be ye transformed. But be ye transformed. This is something that if you're not self-examining, if you're just hearing the word but not trying to obey it, that transformation is carried out in fullness in the demonstration of your obedience to it, in your behavior, in your conduct, in your actions, by the renewing of your mind. How can the Most High Yah renew your mind when your focus is elsewhere? That's why I said, man, you got to focus on the new self. You have folk that think just because they get baptized, go down in some water, that's 100% the new you. But when you look at the conduct and behavior of their life, you don't see no transformation. You don't see no renewal, because from the moment they did that, public display of, of obedience and what the word says, they never focus on, okay, man, let's figure out how to delete all of this stuff that's of this world in my mind to free up space, mental capacity, heart capacity, so the Most High Yah can put in this new script, this new instruction that he wants me to operate of. So he can put in this new operating system so I no longer can be operating out here with glitches of disobedience. But pretty much be able to walk out righteousness in perfection. That's what we should be striving for, perfection. But if you're not focused on the new self, you know, you got a lot of people that from when they wasn't born again to when they are born again, saying they're born again with their lips, you can't see a distinction between the two people. Only thing happens is you've picked up a lot of religious sayings, a lot of religious phrases and things like that. You sound like you walking in the way, but at the end of the day, there's no distinction between the old man or woman and the new man or woman. Therefore, if any man be in Mashiach, he is a new creature. That's letting you know there should be a difference. Old things are passed away. Behold, all things are become new. Man, you should have a difference in your relationships, a difference in your marriage, a different way you look at your parents. You got to think about it, okay? This world has a lot of stuff that we can ignorantly conform to, but at the end of the day, I'll give you an idea of where the focus should be. Focus is on righteousness, obedience, truth, self-examination, you know, spirit growing in spiritual maturity. At the end of the day, not any title I've ever had on any resume is going to be profitable when I'm at the judgment seat of a Mashiach. I want to be focused on being a good son, being a good brother amongst the brothers, being a good father, being a good husband, and most importantly, being Hakodesh as a man. That's as simple as it is. If I focus on those things right there and those things alone, yeah, I might seem a little bit of out of place in a world full of darkness where everybody is conformed to the world. Yeah, I might seem out of place. But guess what? It's my salvation. It's my salvation to work out. You got to think, man, when how out of place Noah looked to everybody else that wasn't focused on righteousness, that wasn't focused on obedience. How this joker's building an ark, building a boat, a ship in the middle of nowhere where there wasn't no water. Think how out of place you look. But at the end of the day, what can be said is Noah was an ambassador. He was an ambassador of the will of the Most High. And because of that, man, that led to his salvation. That led to his safety. That led to his protection. So I want you to understand, when the Most High Yah says, man, these are a peculiar people, you have to think, man, if your life, your behavior, and your conduct looks a lot like the world, what about you is righteously peculiar? What about you is strange according to righteousness, rather than common to the world, those that's conformed to the world? Listen to this, Ezekiel 36:26, a new heart also will I give you. So at some point on this walk, you should have received a heart transplant. All of that stuff you was once holding on to should no longer be there. Why? Because you got a new heart that was not originally yours. The Most High Yah had to put this in you. A new heart also will I give you, and a new ruach will I put in within you. Come on, man. Are you focused on operating off the ruach of the Most High? Or are you operating off the ruach of your flesh, as wicked as it is? And I will take away, come on, man. This is the heart transplant. And I will take away the stony heart out of your flesh. And I will give you a heart of flesh. He gonna put a new heart in you. The stuff that you couldn't let go in your heart before because your heart was stony, man, he gonna give you a new one. Why would you want to hold on to the old one? See, this is where sometimes as believers, we profess that our identity is in Hamashiach, but our identity is really in our and our self that hasn't been transformed, that hasn't been renewed. But when you take on the identity of a Hamashiach, man, that comes with you have to focus on the things that Hamashiach focused on. We see Hamashiach point out the hypocrites, but he didn't spend the fullness of his life just pointing out hypocritical people. He didn't spend the fullness of his life. He was trying to reach the lost sheep, and give us examples. Okay, what does a hypocrite look like? But his whole agenda, when you think about his message, repent for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. His message wasn't learn what a hypocrite is, the fullness of his life. You look at what we're doing, trying to point out who's hypocritical. Every message, every other message, who's a hypocrite, who's this, who's hypocrite. What about you is hypocritical? And what are you going to do in order to get rid of that hypocritical spirit that's in you? You got to understand, man, life in the flesh is painful. It's dark, it's lonely, and it is cold. Some part of you, when you come into this, has to want the new heart. Sometimes we want to look like we're in the image, and we do all of this stuff that really don't have nothing to do with salvation. We join all these different groups, we join these different assemblies, join these different churches, join these different communities, and join here, join there, to look like we're in the image. But just you standing alone on your own merit, what about you has been renewed? Where's the transformation? Where is that new birth? You gotta understand, man, the only birthday that I care about was the day that I became born again. All them other birthdays, what is that gonna do when I'm at the judgment seat of Hamashiach? It ain't gonna do nothing at all. Colossians chapter 3. If you then be risen with Mashiach, seek those things which are above. Why we focused on things that's at eye level? Why we focused on things that's down, where Mashiach sits on the right hand of Elohim? He telling us right here, seek those things which are above. Set your affection on the things above, not the things on earth. For you are dead, and your life is hid with Mashiach and Elohim. When Mashiach, who is your life, shall appear, then shall you also appear with him in glory. Mortify therefore your members which are upon earth, fornication, uncleanness, inordinate affection, evil lusting, covetousness, which is idolatry. We'll read this in the Amplified. So put to death and deprive of power the evil longings of your earthly body, which it is sensual, self-centered instincts, immorality, impurity, sinful passion, evil desires, and greed, which is a kind of idolatry, because it replaces, your devotion to the Most High Yah. It blocks out, gets in the way of. It becomes a placeholder, a distraction. Colossians 3:6, for which things sake the wrath of Elohim comes on the children of disobedience. This is why I said focus on obedience, in which you also walked sometime when you lived in them. But now you also put off all these anger, wrath, malice, blasphemy, filthy communication out of your mouth. This is what I was talking about. Man, I don't have time to run down nobody else for what they doing. Because I remember at some point, my whole life could have been somebody just, before I came into the knowledge of the truth, somebody could have ran me down at every point of my life, because nothing I was doing was in obedience to the Most High. He's saying, put off all these anger, wrath, malice. Okay, we can't get stuck on be angry, do not sin. But how much of us are trying to put away anger? Disappointment is one thing, but anger, wrath, oftentimes it's the wrath. Like, I've never heard within the past 2 years, some of these different quarrels that's going on, and you have people operating out of wrath, not making no peace, not maintaining no peace, but wanting wrath on people. I thought we were supposed to be merciful. Malice, blasphemy, filthy communication out of your mouth. Lie not to one another, seeing that you have put off the old man with his deeds. So don't deceive yourself into thinking that you've actually done away with these things, but you still operating in the capacity of your former self, and have put on the new man, which is renewed in knowledge after the image of him that created him. Where there is neither Yavanah, Greek, or Yahuda, Jew, circumcision or uncircumcision, barbarian or Scythian, bond nor free, but Mashiach is all and in all. Put on therefore as the elect of Elohim. Are you living your life to try to be a religious elite, to try to be a worldly elite, or are you trying to be the elect of Elohim? Because if you want to be the Elohim, the elect of Elohim, you don't need to be trying to walk in the image of the elites. Holy and beloved hearts of mercy, kindness, humbleness of mind, meekness, long suffering, forbearing one another, and forgiving one. Come on, man. I want you to think in some of these quarrels, where have you seen forgiveness? If any man have a quarrel, here we go. If any man have a quarrel against any, even Mashiach forgave you, so also do you. Think about that. Mashiach forgave you. He had a quarrel against you. So what is it that is keeping this quarrel in you? For you wanting to be persistent with quarreling. And above all these things, put on love. You got to understand, sometimes the people that your flesh might want to quarrel with, man, if you're not walking in the Ruach, you can be engaged in this back and forth, not demonstrating love, not demonstrating forgiveness. But if you were to demonstrate these things, somebody can see and be edified by saying, hey, you know what? Man, maybe a lot of times in my life, the reason why I'm facing so much tribulation is because I chose not to let this situation go. I chose not to forgive. I chose not to love a brother or sister and understand they may not be where I think they should be in this walk. And let the peace of Elohim rule in your hearts, to which also you are called in one body, and be ye thankful. Let the word of Mashiach dwell in you richly in all wisdom, teaching and admonishing one another in psalms and hymns and spiritual songs, singing with grace in your hearts to Yahweh. And whatsoever you do in word or deed, do all in the name of Adonai Yahushua, giving thanks to Elohim and the Father by him. Listen to this. Women, submit yourselves unto your own men as it is fit in Yahweh. Men, love your women and be not bitter against them. Children, obey your parents in all things, for this is well pleasing unto Yahweh. That's so simple. That's so simple. This is where we should be focused on. You know, as a man, as a man or a woman, why should I be worried about what's going on in somebody else's relationship? What's going on in somebody else's house? Because here's the thing. If you're focused on, I give you an example. If you're focused on spiritually maturing, man, there should be the maturation of marriage. Your marriage should be getting stronger. How as a man can you love the Most High Yah but not love your woman according to righteousness? How can you love the Most High Yah as a woman but yet don't want to submit yourself to your own man? And oftentimes, the reason we're conflicted at a lot of this is because we're focused on stuff that's not of righteousness. We're focused on what people of the world have told us. And this is the reason why we don't have the fruit of righteousness. This is why we're not able to bear the fruit of repentance in our relationships. You got to think, man, as a man, your woman should be the first one, like the most easiest person that you have forgiveness in your heart for. Same thing with your children. Same thing, women with your husbands. We shouldn't be weaponizing unforgiveness over the people that we claim to love. Not if we actually trying to make peace. Not if we trying to reach spiritual maturity. But you look at where people, you look at in the last day where people had the most trouble. Children, okay? If your children are caught up because you're not teaching the things of righteousness in your house and the world is teaching them, they're going to struggle with obeying or being obedient to you as parents. They're going to struggle with this. It says, for this is well pleasing unto Yahweh. Most High Yah didn't give us nothing hard. Only time it seems hard to us is if we're distracted and our attention is elsewhere and we're not focused on what His will is. If we're not hearkening to and trying to guard His commandments, that's when it becomes hard. Because your soul is having war waged against it between evil and good. But you got to focus on the good. Fathers, provoke not your children to anger, lest they be discouraged. Servants, obey in all things your Adanim according to the flesh, not with eye service as man pleasers, but in singleness of heart, fearing Elohim. And whatsoever you do, do it heartily as to Yahweh and not unto men. How much of this stuff that we do, it's done unto men, but the Most High is looking down like, I really don't care about that. Men pleasers. Knowing that of Yahweh you shall receive the reward of inheritance, for you serve Yahweh, the Mashiach. Man, I tell you, at this point where I'm in my life, you can pretty much tell me, hey, somebody such and such made a video being in disagreement with you. And at the end of the day, in all my videos, I got an email down there. They got any kind of questions, want something clarified, they can reach out. But I don't have time to follow up with all these different folk and make follow-up videos on them. But if they not really trying to come out and debate it, why am I wasting time on it? Now, you have to look at this. Man or mankind or woman might want you to get out there and go back and forth. And, well, if I was you, like, wait a minute. This ain't your salvation. This ain't your salvation. This ain't your walk. So I could care less what people will try to bait you into some stuff saying, well, if I was you, this is what I would do. But we're not at the same place. We're not at the same mile marker in this walk. So I'm at the point where a lot of this stuff, a lot of this foolishness, I just don't have the energy or the effort. I'm not willing to dedicate the energy and effort to partaking in it. Because I want to focus on the things that Hamashiach wants us focused on. Knowing that of Yah, you shall receive the reward of inheritance, for you serve Yahweh, the Mashiach. But he that does wrong shall receive for the wrong which he has done, and there is no respect of person. It don't matter what title you done gave yourself, what title they done ordained you with, or in it. It don't matter. At the end of the day, man, your life is going to be brought into examination under a microscope, under a magnifying glass. Did you or did you not do what I asked you to do? You got people that if you confess with your mouth, that they read that one word and it says, you shall be saved. They think they have arrived. But the word, if you continue on, if you focus on the rest of the word, it says, those that endure till the end shall be saved. So there's an in-between right there of what you should have been doing. And if you didn't endure, there's going to be no saving, no salvation at the end. Conclusion, as we conclude, we must recognize the stagnation in our walk is not the will of Yahweh. If at some point you feel like, man, your walk is not increasing, is not being strengthened, that stagnation does not come from the Most High Yahweh. It is the result of misplaced focus. The world will always present distractions, and the adversary will always attempt to keep your attention fixed on things that do not produce righteousness. But we are called to a higher standard. We are called to grow, to mature, and to pursue holiness with intention. This cannot be done casually. It requires discipline, awareness, and continual turning of our hearts and minds back towards Yahweh. When we shift our focus away from the noise of this world and fix it fully on Him, everything begins to align. Our thoughts, our actions, and our desires. It's time for Yahweh's people to be stagnant no more, to rise above distractions, and to pursue higher levels of holiness, true growth, comes when we choose daily and deliberately to focus on Yahweh above all else. You know, man, I can sit back. I can sit back rather than a lot of the videos and stuff that I used to post before and put a little scripture in there and talk about it. I think about what the Most High Yah has done in my life, what He has blessed me with, and how I got to strive on being a steward of the blessings that He's given me. And one thing that I've been blessed with is a small piece of land, and I have to focus on, rather than being distracted. I don't have time to sit back and watch 2, 3, 4 hours of football. Not if I wanna increase my knowledge and turning this hard soil into fertile soil and actually getting this soil where I live to be able to yield some fruit, to be able to yield some crops year round. I've got things. When you think about build ye houses and build ye garden, like, I've got more time to dedicate out of my day towards those things than I do the foolishness of the world. And that's what I'm trying to get people to focus on. That's what today's message is about. Because where you're distracted, hindsight 2020 is somewhere you could be experiencing growth. But the things that are distracting you, keeping you stagnant, you're not growing, you're not getting any kind of maturity. You got to think about the trajectory I was on in life. Was I would have aged, I would have been 30, 40, 50 years old, but I wouldn't have had any wisdom. And I've said it again, aging does not equal maturity, does not equal an abundance of wisdom. And that's an assumption sometimes that people have. You know, when you're focused on what the world has given you, one of the greatest deceptions is they've told the remnant that you are not chosen. You're not the remnant, you ain't chosen, you're not favored. But when you focus on the Most High Yah, you start to realize, oh snap, man, I'm reading about my people. I'm reading about the disobedience. I'm reading about while we was in Babylon, while we was in Egypt, how our focus was not on the Most High Yah. And the only way we're gonna be able to get up out of this thing, to be able to get up under this bondage. Okay, even though we're not physically in Egypt, some people spiritually that claim to be in the walk are in Egypt. They're living in Babylon. You have to think, man, when the messengers came and told Lot, you know, hey, you're going to have to get up out of here. If his focus would have been on football, would have been on NFL, hey, I got this game to watch and, you know, I got to be over here and that, man, that would have led to his destruction, his damnation. But he found salvation and obedience to the word, hearkening and keeping the word that was given to him. Hey, you got to get up out of here. You got to understand, when you look at Lot's wife, it's because her focus was not on the things of righteousness that she turned into a pillar of salt. And you have to think, man, that's for one instance, she was on the way to salvation. She was on the path. All she had to do was follow her covering. All she had to do was follow Lot, her head, her covering, her leadership, and she would have made it out. But for one split second, she allowed herself to get distracted and look back. And it cost her life. I don't know about you, but I can dang sure tell you about me. Knowing the life that I lived, how rebellious, how wicked it was before I came into this knowledge of truth, I don't have time to be focused on the things of the world. I promise you that. I don't have time. Because I've seen people lose their life for a lot less than things that I've done. You got to think, I seen people in the book, read about people in the book lose their life behind one sin. Most High Yah told you not to do it, you chose to do it, and He took you up out of here. But for this life that I live, man, I have to devote my attention to walking upright. I have to. Because I've still got work to do. I want to go further in this thing. And anything less than being an ambassador of righteousness is unsatisfactory. It's unsatisfactory. And I know if I was to pull what Lot's wife did and look back at my former life and think that I can walk in that manner, I know I will be up and out of here, because I know the Most High Yah has already shown me so much grace and so much mercy. So this is why I gotta, man, there's things in the book, like if you're not trying to gain further understanding into the perfect Torah of liberty, man, there's things in there that you need to repent for, that you don't even have knowledge of, being wrongdoings. But if you're not focused on the things of righteousness, how can you ever get there? You don't never want to get stagnant in this walk. I always want to increase. I always want to be walking towards the, you got to understand, just because you on the straight path, you might be on the straight path, but are you stagnated in your walk? Every day, man, them gates should be getting closer as you age, as you mature spiritually. It should be one foot in front of the other. You don't have time to say, hey, let me take a break. Let me go down this little side path and see what's down there. I don't have time for that. I know what was in the world, and it wasn't salvation. I didn't find salvation in the world. So I don't have time to be taking no detours or anything like that, or to be getting caught up in the foolishness of man, to be distracted by the things of the world. I could give a flip with these Republicans, Democrats, whatever these elites, whatever these folks is doing. I don't give a dang. I told you before, there's not going to be 90 days that goes past. Mark my words. There won't be 90 days that goes past that this system is not feeding you something that distracts you. And guess what? It does nothing for your salvation. Nothing whatsoever. So I don't have time to get caught up in this. No time whatsoever. Focus. Shabbat Shalom. Glory to the King. The King is coming. Turn from your sins. Shabbat Shalom, Israel. Once again, this is Closer to Y'all Ministries, kicking that thing gun barrel straight.